Coming up on the Rockbridge Report.
Senator Harris is doing is unfortunately continuing to traffic in lies.
10 Democratic hopefuls traveled to Atlanta last night for their fifth debate. The highs, lows, and implications for 2020 coming up next.
And in the Capitol, the impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump grinds onward as the final witnesses testified in the House this morning. Learn why both parties are calling the hearings a win next.
We may be expecting some rain coming this weekend, but it should be a nice Thanksgiving week. Tune into weather to find out more.
What I can do is I can find that signal from the air and get my ground troops to a location much quicker.
The Buena Vista Police Department will soon have a drone to help track missing people. Find out how local universities are lending a hand with their engineering programs.
All that and more coming up on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Crawford Humphreys.
And I'm Gigi Lancaster. The final day of this round of impeachment hearings is underway on Capitol Hill as Democrats weigh whether they should try to bring in other top White House aides to testify in the future. Karen Kafa is on Capitol Hill with the very latest.
Committee will come to order.
Two more witnesses testifying Thursday in front of the House Intelligence Committee. One affirming that President Trump wanted Ukraine to publicly announce an investigation into Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the Ukrainian company Burisma before Trump would agree to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
It was made clear that some action on Burisma-Biden investigation was a precondition for an Oval Office visit.
There is no evidence of wrongdoing by either Biden. The other witness refuting allegations that Ukraine played any role in 2016 election meddling and warning of Russian interference in 2020.
I refuse to be part of an effort to legitimize an alternate narrative that the Ukrainian government is a U.S. adversary and that Ukraine, not Russia, attacked us in 2016.
And saying it was Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's personal attorney, who was pushing this agenda on Trump's behalf.
Beginning in March 2019, the situation at the embassy and in Ukraine changed dramatically. Specifically, the three priorities of security, economy, and justice, and our support for Ukrainian democratic resistance to Russian aggression became overshadowed by a political agenda promoted by former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani and a cadre of officials operating with a direct channel to the White House.
In contrast, Representative Devin Nunes, the top Republican on the committee, said the entire impeachment proceedings have been a, quote, wrenching attempt to overthrow the president.
I sincerely hope the Democrats end this affair as quickly as possible so our nation can begin to heal.
Hill and Holmes are the last scheduled witnesses this week. On Capitol Hill, I'm Karen Kafa.
President Trump has continued to condemn the hearings as a massive hoax. If the House votes to impeach President Trump, the Republican-led Senate will decide whether to convict him. Into our newsroom this morning, Israel is going through a strikingly similar struggle with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu was charged in a series of corruption cases, throwing the country's paralyzed political system into further disarray and threatening the longtime leader's grip on power. According to the indictment, Netanyahu accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars of champagne and cigars from billionaire friends and offered to trade favors with a newspaper publisher for positive press. The indictment does not require Netanyahu to resign, but it significantly weakens him at a time when Israel's political system appears to be limping toward a third election in under a year.
Back to national news. Last night's Democratic debate in Atlanta started out with candidates responding to the blockbuster day of testimony in the ongoing House impeachment inquiry. It comes as the candidates seek to build momentum with the Iowa caucuses just 75 days away. Mary Maloney reports from Atlanta.
Right out of the gate, the marathon historic impeachment hearings taking center stage at the 5th Democratic debate.
Justice is on the ballot.
Well, I learned something about these impeachment trials. I learned, number one, that Donald Trump doesn't want me to be the nominee.
On a crowded stage in Atlanta, 10 Democratic presidential candidates sought to stand out from the pack.
If you think a woman can't beat Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi does it every single day.
I never thought I'd be on a Forbes magazine list, but they did one of all the candidates by wealth, and I am literally the least wealthy person on this stage.
exchanging barbs at the event hosted by MSNBC and the Washington Post.
It's unfortunate that we have someone on the stage who is attempting to be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States, who during the Obama administration spent 4 years full-time on Fox News criticizing President Obama.
What Senator Harris is doing is unfortunately continuing to traffic in lies.
The candidates tackling major topics like climate change, the economy, foreign policy, and health care.
Let's bring as many people in and get as much help to the American people as we can.
I'm the only person on this stage who will say that climate is the #1 priority for me.
In some cases, highlighting the progressive against moderate battle within the party.
The vast majority of Democrats do not support Medicare for all. We should build on Obamacare.
For the frontrunners like Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Pete Buttigieg, it was about maintaining momentum. While for some of the lower polling candidates, the night could be do or die.
As commander-in-chief, I think we need to be focused on the real threats of the 21st century.
If you want bold change in the United States, you're going to have new and different people in charge.
In Atlanta, I'm Mary Maloney.
You probably won't be seeing Prince Andrew in the public eye anytime soon. He's stepping back from his royal duties, quote, for the foreseeable future. This comes after a firestorm of criticism over Andrew's BBC interview about his association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, who was facing federal charges for sexually abusing underage girls and running a sex trafficking ring. In the interview, the Queen's second son denied that he had sex with an underage woman who said she had been trafficked by Epstein. Wednesday night, Prince Andrew released a statement saying he, quote, unequivocally regretted his relationship with Epstein and was willing to aid in any ongoing investigations. A number of companies have severed ties with the Duke of York in the wake of this interview. Epstein was found unresponsive in his jail cell in August. The New York City medical examiner ruled Epstein's death a suicide.
2 Virginia Military Institute cadets were arrested for unrelated sexual assault incidents that took place in the barracks. Their cases are 2 of 5 reported sexual assaults at VMI in 2019. And they're an example of the widespread issue of sexual assault on college campuses across the country. At VMI, the situation is unique because 87% of the cadets are male. Both cadets will be in court for preliminary hearings on December 16th. Up next on the Rockbridge Report. The Rockbridge Report takes you to South Africa, where the worst drought in living memory is threatening the food supply of an estimated 45 million people. Find out what the international community is doing to help.
And coming up later, green means go, but local drivers may be taking stoplight directions a bit too literally. Find out why the city is spending extra money on property damage to streetlights and stop signs next. And it's an overcast day today in Lexington with rain on the way. Find out when it's coming up next.
As visuals continue to arrive in our newsroom today, check out some visuals from the town of Vosburg, South Africa. The flat, dusty roads to Vosburg are surrounded by withered fields. The streams feeding the community of a few thousand people have gone dry. Signs warn drivers of wandering cattle and sheep, but there are none in sight. The months-long drought is affecting most of southern Africa. The United Nations estimates that more than 11 million people now face crisis levels of food insecurity in places like Zimbabwe and Mozambique, where 2 cyclones wiped out crops earlier this year. Among the hardest hit areas is South Africa's Northern Cape province, where many farmers are struggling to keep their families and animals alive, where revenue falls and debt piles up.
The Buena Vista Police Department will soon have a drone to help track missing people. Students at Virginia Tech and George Washington University are working on the technology. The Rockbridge Report's Colin Whitmore has the story.
This radio transmission equipment could help save lives. Jacqueline Hostetter, the Valley Director of AmeriCare Plus, a statewide in-home care service, is working with students from Virginia Tech and George Washington University to build a drone for law enforcement to track missing people with disabilities.
These programs allow for a device to be put on these students or these children or these dementia patients or cognitively impaired patients and give law enforcement a way to find them.
Buena Vista Police Lieutenant Mitchell Harrison hopes the drone will help speed up the tracking process.
I mean, I can obviously track quicker from the air to at least get a signal. I may not be able to find the person from the air, but what I can do is I can find that signal from the air and get my ground troops to a location much quicker.
Students from Virginia Tech are building the drone, while George Washington students are assembling the bracelet transmitter. Virginia Tech student Austin Wilcox says his team is making good progress on the drone.
We're really trying to get like an actual drone body and like electronics meant to just have it fly done by the end of the semester, and then really focus on the sensor integration next semester.
Project Lifesaver, a national nonprofit which produces tracking devices, has already developed drones, but they can run upwards of $90,000.
They did not do so in an economical fashion that law enforcement with already strained budgets is able to afford.
So far, the BV Police Department hasn't paid anything for the drone. The Virginia Tech Mechanical Engineering Department is funding it as a senior project. I have here a quadcopter. The Buena Vista Police Department says theirs will be a hexacopter and much larger than this one. They plan to put the drone in use by early spring. In Buena Vista, for the Rockbridge Report, I'm Colin Whitmore.
The BV Police Department says it anticipates using the drone for a variety of purposes, including search and rescue and other tactical situations. The federal jury trial for John Higgins, the former superintendent of the Rockbridge Regional Jail, has been postponed for the 4th time. Higgins faces 21 charges, including fraud, bribery, and inmate abuse. The trial was originally scheduled for over a year ago. However, last week, his lawyer filed a motion to continue the trial based on a substantial amount of new discovery documents. It was postponed from December 9th to April 20th.
Lily, I have travel plans this weekend for Thanksgiving going home. What's the weather like?
Is there any severe weather coming up?
No, there's not going to be, but there is going to be precipitation here tomorrow and Saturday, but shouldn't have to worry about that if you're going home. If we take a look at our live shot from Hogback Mountain, we can see that it has been a very nice, mild winter afternoon here in Lexington. If we take a look at our current conditions, today we reached a high of 54 degrees, which, considering that it is late November, that is very, very nice for us. The low was 40 degrees this morning, which is a welcome change from the freezing temperatures we had last week. The wind speed is only 5 miles per hour, so not too bad, and the humidity is 51%, so it is rather humid right now. If we take a look at our regional radar, we can see that there are some scattered storms on the map, but none of them are going to be affecting the Lexington and Rockbridge County area. However, we will be seeing a change in that tomorrow morning and Saturday when we'll be expecting some precipitation. If we take a look at our current conditions, we aren't really seeing much variation temperature-wise. We're all in about the mid-50s right now. There are some scattered clouds in the area, but for the most part, it has been a very nice afternoon here in the area. If we take a look at our 5-day forecast, we are going to be seeing some chances of precipitation tomorrow and Saturday. Tomorrow, we're looking at a high of 57 degrees though, so those showers should just be coming in the morning, and then they should clear out, and it should be a pretty nice Friday afternoon. Taking a look at Saturday, the temperature is going to be dropping down. 42 degrees is the high, and 37 is the low. So definitely bring an umbrella and a jacket with you for your Saturday afternoon plans. Sunday, the sun's coming back out. 50 degrees is the high for Sunday. And then Monday, we're creeping up in temperature. 53 degrees is the high for Monday. And Tuesday, we're getting a little warmer. 57 degrees is the high for Tuesday. 41 will be the low. But the temperature is going to continue to increase as we get closer to Thanksgiving. So once we get past tomorrow and Saturday, it should be pretty nice weather as you get closer to eating that turkey on Thanksgiving. That's all I have for the weather. Now back to you guys.
Thank you, Lily. I'm glad to know that I will make my flight.
Well, still to come on the Rockbridge Report. In Lexington, shopkeepers are gearing up to combat growing competition from online giants like Amazon. Find out how you could win some serious cash for shopping local this holiday season.
And as the NFL moves into their 12th week of play, the MVP race has boiled down to 2 electric quarterbacks. Find out how Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson are making their cases for the coveted spot. Next.
What you've got is real narrow streets and a lot of traffic.
Between stop signs and traffic lights, there have been 7 accidents involving city property this year. Find out who's footing the bill for that damage and more next.
A Muslim chaplain made an unprecedented visit to Rockbridge County this month. Imam Yahya Hindi spent 2 weekends in the area speaking at universities and preaching to congregations. Emma Coleman tells us more about his visit.
Imam Yahya Hindi was born and raised in Palestine. He became a U.S. citizen in 1990 and is the first full-time Muslim chaplain at Georgetown University. He was invited to the area by his friend John Thomas, who moved to Lexington 2 years ago.
As I got to know the community, I got to know its intellectual interests, its curiosity, its welcome to many different views, and I thought, boy, it would be great if he came down here and had an opportunity to meet and talk with a number of people.
Hendy spent 2 weekends in Lexington and Buena Vista, thanks to efforts made over the course of 8 months by Rockbridge Interfaith, local universities, and several local churches like Grace Episcopal Church behind me. This was the first time a Muslim chaplain preached to a Lexington congregation. The weekend of November 7th, he spoke to students and visitors at Virginia Military Institute, Washington and Lee University, and Southern Virginia University. He spent last weekend holding roundtable discussions, preaching at local churches, and serving at a food pantry.
Me and my 2 daughters, who are also traveling with me, did community service at the local homeless shelter, and I was in tears, in awe, but also in happiness that we are all there, regardless of the faith.
I am an imam, yes I am, but I was trained to preach by a Baptist minister from Alabama.
He said he hoped to demonstrate that people with different backgrounds and beliefs can unite for good.
Having studied Judaism, Christianity, and Islam for almost 30 years, I dare to say that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam have much more in common than they have differences. Yes, there are unique differences, but so what? The presence of differences does not make us enemies.
Hendy said he enjoyed his visit and he now has many new friends.
I feel like I have to move to Lexington now. If you allow me.
Emma Coleman, Lexington, Virginia, for the Rockbridge Report.
The Rockbridge area has a small Muslim population, but the faith is growing fast worldwide. According to the Pew Research Center, the population is expected to rise by 35% in the next 20 years. To learn more about Hendy and his interfaith experiences, visit his website, imamyahiahendy.com.
Holiday shopping can make or break a retailer. In Lexington, shopkeepers are gearing up to combat growing e-commerce competition. The retailers are fighting digital giant Amazon, popular 2-day shipping, as well as its broad assortment of goods. Downtown stores are already decked with bright lights, fake snow, and Christmas trees to create a more festive mood. Merchandise displays also need to catch shoppers' eyes. Lex Running Shop rearranged the store layout to put watches and headphones in the front to showcase gifts someone might not get for themselves. One effort to build traffic is Main Street Lexington's Love Lexington Lotto Sweepstakes, which runs from Small Business Saturday until Christmas Eve. Participants can win up to $1,000 to shop downtown. Applications for teaching positions in Buena Vista are down 60% in the past 4 years. Virginia prides itself on its commitment to education, but lags other states when it comes to teacher pay. Another hurdle for aspiring teachers is licensing. And with not enough certified teachers, Buena Vista has had to take a chance on teachers that are a class or 2 short. For more information on BV's teaching woes, visit rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. Well, I enjoyed being able to watch plenty of football this past weekend, and even more when I go home to see the family for Thanksgiving.
Victoria, what games do we have to look forward to?
Well, we don't just have games to look forward to as we head towards playoff season in the NFL. We have 2 top contenders for the NFL's MVP race. Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks and Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens are leading their teams to impressive seasons. With Jackson as a driving force, the Ravens sit at 9-2 in the AFC North. Jackson is 15-3 as a starter and the focal point of a team that leads the league in scoring, rushing, and holds a 76.9% conversion rate on 4th downs. The Ravens' next bout is against the Rams next Monday. Meanwhile, Wilson has led the Seahawks to an 8-2 record, holding a record 13 consecutive games with a touchdown pass. Wilson has thrown 19 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in his last 9 away games. The Seahawks take on a 5-5 Eagles squad this Sunday at 1 p.m. In local sports, Rockbridge County High School is set to take on Spotswood High School tomorrow in the 2nd round of the Virginia High School football playoff bracket. Earlier this season, Rockbridge County was routed by Spotswood 55-10. Rockbridge County plays at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. And at Washington and Lee women's cross-country team won the NCAA South-Southeast Regional Championship for the first time in program history, topping 31 teams at the regional meet hosted by Rhodes College on Saturday afternoon. WNL will go to nationals for the first time, becoming just the second team in ODAC women's cross-country history to compete at the NCAA championship. And that's all we have for sports right now. Back to you, Gigi and Crawford.
Thank you, Victoria. Well, the roads in downtown Lexington are narrow, and there's no question about it. The narrow lanes also come at a cost. This year, city infrastructure has taken some hits more than in years past. Rockbridge Report reporter Coleman Martinson takes us to the streets to find out why there's been more damage and what it's costing the taxpayers.
It's a bad year to be a traffic light in the city of Lexington. City infrastructure, such as traffic lights, stop signs, park fences, keep getting knocked down, all by moving vehicles. So far this year, police records show that there have been 7 traffic accidents involving damage to city property. Director of Public Works Jeff Martone said that this number is higher than the average year.
I would say 2 or 3 would be average a season or year. It's somewhat, it can get in the way of other things we got cooking at the time.
While there is not one clear reason for the increase in damage this year, Martone said one factor could be a lot of out-of-town visitors who are unfamiliar with the narrow roadways. Large coach buses and tourists driving through tend to be unfamiliar with the roads. John Smith drives a bus through town at least once a week. He is contracted by Washington and Lee University to drive a safe ride bus system for partying students. He said he's noticed how easy it is to hit city infrastructure.
What you've got is real narrow streets and a lot of traffic that's on those streets is trying to get where they want to, and then it's, like you say, it's a give and take situation.
Martone said that his department has funds set aside for accidents like this, but it's usually the driver who ends up paying for it in the end.
Value for his insurance purposes we've submitted can range anywhere from $1,500 to the most I've seen is $4,000 to date. Some we pay cash outright, comes out of my budget, and others we turn into our city's insurance.
I spoke with Gary Swink, the city finance director, and he said that the driver's insurance usually pays for the damage, but if the driver is uninsured, then the city's insurance will cover the damage. But the taxpayers still have to pay a deductible. Reporting in downtown Lexington, Coleman Martinson, Rockbridge Report.
Thanks, Coleman. After our newscast today, stay tuned for exclusive interviews with Jade Harris, a Mary Baldwin student who may be named to a vacant seat on Glasgow City Council, and Nancy Bower, owner of Shenandoah Art Destination. That's all for today. For updates on today's stories and more web-exclusive content, check out rockbridgereport.wlu.edu or follow us on Twitter at Rockbridge News. Have a great night.